All right, well, my project is complete for the time being, in so much as anything is ever complete in my house. But I'm going to take my first for real ride tomorrow. I've been riding it short distances, working out some kinks, making sure it shifts good, stops good, does everything it needs to do. These are phenomenal. The shifters are phenomenal. It's shifts so nice. Those Rivendell silver shifters are amazing. This thing is just like a Cadillac. The riding position is much more aggressive than my commuter. The brakes are silent. The derailleurs work fantastic. We have the original derailleur, we have the original crank, and the original 3 chain rings. I put a 9-speed cassette back here, but it's only 8 of 9 speeds. Works flawlessly with a 9-speed chain. I have a nice made in Japan Dior XT derailleur hooked up, works great. Yeah, it's phenomenal. There is, I think that's a Tektro. I don't know if it's an aftermarket brake or if that's actually the factory brake off of my other Stumpjumper. It's one or the other. But it was squealing like crazy, and I finally figured it out, and I just had to move the yoke down and get it closer. And I may have to move it down a little more. Fortunately, I left some extra in this up here, so I can cut this a little short and I'll get more line out. So if I need to get more line, I can get more line. But for now, I'm just going to call it good, and it stops fast and it doesn't squeal. That's all that matters. And then for now, I just put my spare tube and whatnot up here. You know, that should hang. For now, I'll probably eventually get something a little more permanent to put there, but works great. Again, titanium seat post. I mean, does that really matter? No, it's just cool. I mean, if you don't like titanium, there's something wrong with you, as far as I'm concerned. And all the components came together with those friction shifters. Those are the nicest friction shifters. I mean, I'm not an expert at this, but using these, I'll give you a close-up of these beauties. Those are the Rivendell silver shifters. God, they're so nice. I know they're a copy of, I think, like an older Sun Tour or some other brand of ratcheting friction shifter, but they are silky smooth. I just love them. And the pawl levers, you know, I thought were mostly looks. I didn't figure there'd be a huge performance component there, but I really like them. They don't have any flex in them. They're very rigid, and they give you a nice brake feel. That could just be me trying to justify the purchase, but they sure do look cool if nothing else. I always do more cable, more, what do you call this stuff? Oh, heck, I can't remember. It's been a long day. But I always do more shielding than I need in case I want to change the height of the bars, or if I run into an issue like I did on my rear brake where the cable's a little short, I can always trim a little off the shielding and get more cable out. So that's always kind of a nice way to cheat. Yeah, here's the front yoke on those Avid brakes. You know, I wish I had another set of these Avid brakes because they'd look great in the back. You know, it sort of matches the bike. But I decided to use the other set I had of these on my other bike, and I'm glad I did. They really helped solve my problem there. So, and then again, we got race face pedals on the crank, but in original wheels, made in Japan wheels with the hubs. I think let's see what these hubs are. They're the factory hubs. I didn't do anything with this. Factory skewers. Yeah, Dior DX. So, you know. And then the Rene Ayres Rat Trap Pass. Or Natchez Pass. This is the Natchez Pass. I've been saying Rat Trap. Rat Trap's the 2.3. The Natchez is the 1.8. That's what these are, 1.8s. And, you know, these aren't exactly the tires I envisioned using on this bike. I did have these tires on my other commuter bike, but I decided to take them off because they just kept getting flats all the time. And so this is a more performance bike. This is something I'm going to be using mainly for leisure, not for business. So If this one tends to be a little more prone to flats, that's okay. I can deal with that because I just probably won't be riding it as much. But I am going to ride it for business tomorrow just to sort of test it out, see how she goes. And then for now, back here, I just did the old zip tie trick to handle the chain slapping. So, you know, is that sometimes I do these things thinking they're temporary and then 4 years later, right? And I'm sure you can relate. But, oh, look at that. I caught my shifter cable. I'm going to have to cut those off and redo it. Durr. No wonder my shifting hasn't been as... It's going to be way smoother when I fix that problem. Okay, well, good thing I made this video. We're catching issues in real time. This is why you go through your builds, you know? At least why I go through my builds. Because I always find stuff that I missed or didn't do quite right, or... I did get the Jaguar Premium, so it does have a coating on the cable. So it's not just bare stainless cable. It just glides right through the shielding. It's very nice. So, perfectly happy with it so far. You know, there'll be finishing touches that go on eventually. And, yeah, but for now, you know, I'll try to get some real life footage of this thing in action. Post it up on YouTube, maybe like some beach days or something, you know, cruising down on Alki, you know, with my kid, or have my wife do it, or you can see my big, stupid, goofy face, trying to look like, you know, anything less than an idiot riding this beautiful machine I managed to create here. But yeah, there it is. So I know I didn't do the typical build, edit, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's plenty of people doing high production value stuff if that's what you're into. This is just what I'm into. And since we're wrapping up this particular bike here, you know, there'll be more footage of it, but we'll get one more look at the old commuter. So that's the business bike. That's what I ride to get from A to B. Very upright, very neutral position for the back and the neck. Extremely comfortable to ride. Very comfortable with it. On my wish list, though, is going to be a set of silver shifters. Not that there's anything wrong with these M90s. They're great shifters, but man, those silver shifters are nice. They're so nice. So, you know, maybe if I get a big raise or something, I'll fork out the insane amount of money for silver shifters again, but probably not. As long as this thing works. You know, I kind of don't want too much nice stuff on this thing, so most of the stuff I have on here is used or cobbled together. Because, you know, if I do chain it up somewhere, I don't want to have a large investment. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, like, this bike, you know, some of the components someone else put on. So I bought this bike for, I think, like $350, $400. I probably put another $400 in parts into it at least. Maybe let's just call it 600. So let's say I have $1,000 in this bike. Okay, $1,000 for a bike as nice as that is nothing. I know it doesn't look great, but those components are top shelf, and this is as nice of a bike as you could want if you're my height and weight and you have back and neck problems. This is it's amazing. Super durable. Nothing breaks. It's very reliable. This is basically the sportier version of what we just saw. And I got the extra long threaded stem, so I can raise that thing up really high and change my grip angle and have a bike that's far more comfortable. And that's all I have to change. You know, it's still going to be a little weird leaning forward because of the straight bar, but yeah. So, you know, in this bike in total, I haven't kept track, but let's for the sake of argument say that I've got $1,000 into this bike. You know, you can't buy from anyone a bike that will ride as nice as this one will, or as nice as that one will, for anything close to $2,000. Yeah, there's going to be newer equipment on it, you know. So what? Just because something's newer doesn't mean it's nicer. You know, a 1985 Rolls Royce was still hand built, still has real silver and gold trim, still has real solid burled maple in it, still has the finest leather available at that time, right? And so just because you got a 2017 Honda Accord, you know, you might like it better, but that doesn't make it nicer than a 1985 Rolls Royce. So perspective, man, it's taste and perspective. And for my taste, these are great bikes, and really I mean, like I've got my old commuter I gave to my dad, the Cirrus. I keep talking about it, but the Cirrus is in my shed. And I didn't buy that bike new. I bought it used and got a phenomenal deal on it. I think I got it for less than $400. But that bike brand new in like 2017 was like 2 G's. And it was not a fancy bike. It's got a carbon fiber fork, an aluminum frame, and it was a 2x9. You know, it was a fine bike, nothing wrong with it, but $2,000 out the door, somebody paid for that thing. And I got these two bikes, which are both much nicer than that Cirrus. And I probably have less in them or the same in them as that Cirrus. So pretty wild stuff. So, you know, I mean, it is expensive to build your own bike, but it's way less expensive than buying a new one. You know, hopefully bike prices come down. But, you know, if you're watching this and you're looking for an alternative, you do not have to do this the way I did it. You can be more thrifty. You know, you don't have to buy insanely expensive Paul purple brake levers. You know, this is one of the most expensive parts on this bike, probably the most expensive. Second most would be these. I paid as much for these shifters as I paid for the whole stinking bike. You know, and this bike was perfectly serviceable. I could have bought this bike and just put the seat on it, put the bars where I wanted to put them, put some tires on it, oiled it up, and I could have rode it as it came, and it would have been perfectly fine. But, you know, I did this as a project because it's what I wanted to do. It's my hobby, and I'm really going to enjoy the hell out of riding this thing. So, you know, different strokes for different folks. But here's the project. I hope you like it. And I need to take some pictures outside, put a nice thumbnail up before I get this out. And, you know, if you see me out on the road, say hi.